She was born in a drafty log cabin with no electricity, dubbed the Holler by neighbors, yet grew into the undisputed queen of country music, rising from barefoot poverty to Grand Ole Opry stardom. With every hit, Loretta Lynn laid bare the struggles of women's lives: broken marriages, hunger, coal dust misery, and the audacity to demand birth control. But behind the rhinestone gowns and standing ovation moments lay a firebrand who refused to forgive slights. Foreign pop stars, duet partners, gospel icons, prison-born troubadours, and fellow female legends all found themselves on her blacklist. The list of those she truly hated, and the scenes that sparked her wrath, will surprise anyone who thinks Loretta was only sweetness and steel guitars. In early 1974, the air inside the Country Music Association's glittering ballroom turned as cold as a Kentucky winter when the CMA announced Olivia Newton-John as Female Vocalist of the Year. Loretta, seated in a sequin blue gown and clutching her award ballot, stared in stunned silence as a British-born, Australian-raised pop singer, whose crossover hits had only recently flirted with country charts, accepted a prize Loretta believed belonged to women who had lived their songs in coal mines and honky-tonk bars. Applause trickled through the room, but to Loretta it felt like a betrayal of country's soul. In Nashville's backrooms, furious phone calls and midnight strategy sessions led George Jones, Tammy Wynette, Conway Twitty and Bill Anderson to form the short-lived Association of Country Entertainers. Though ACE folded within a year, its rallying cry burned bright: defend authenticity or surrender the genre to glossy radio pop. Loretta refused to return to CMA ceremonies for years, her absence a protest louder than any acceptance speech. A few years earlier, she had learned that even a beloved duet partner could wound deeply. From 1971 to 1975, Loretta and Conway Twitty ruled the duet charts with 5 No. 1 hits and earned Vocal Duo of the Year nods. Fans adored the chemistry, but behind the curtains, Conway's name always appeared first, on posters, tickets and record sleeves, no matter which star sold more tickets. One night in Atlanta, his contemptuous quip to reporters, "Loretta still has it for her age," hit her like a slap. When the band struck up their signature intro at that show, Loretta simply stayed backstage. Conway stood alone under hot lights, shuffling jokes as the audience murmured. Finally, Loretta stormed on stage, her guitar slung low and her eyes blazing. Only when the announcer placed her name in front did she stride forward, turning her silent protest into legend. From that moment, Nashville knew that Loretta would not step onto any stage until her worth was acknowledged equally. Her friendships held equal peril. Johnny Cash, an outlaw icon who shared her Kentucky-Arkansas roots, once invited Loretta to sing on his nationally televised gospel special, a project dear to her heart since childhood hymns carried her through lean years. She rehearsed tirelessly, perfecting harmonies for the broadcast. Yet 2 days before taping, producers withdrew her, claiming Cash insisted her reputation as a feminist firebrand would jar the show's redemptive tone. Loretta watched the broadcast from her hotel room, rage and heartbreak warring in her eyes. Years later, Cash sent a handwritten apology filled with regret, but Loretta never answered. She tucked the letter in a cedar keepsake box and refused to attend his 2003 funeral. In her own words, "Some ghosts don't rest easy." Merle Haggard, the Hardin County kid who'd sung his way out of San Quentin, might have been a natural ally. Both had sung of hardship, but in January 1982 a Los Angeles radio interviewer asked Merle what made Loretta special. His offhand response: "Loretta's been playing the poor girl act too long. We get it, coal dust and babies. What else you got?" Felt like salt in an open wound. Here was a man celebrated for his pain, dismissing her fiercely honest songs about birth control, divorce, and motherhood as church lady whining. The sting intensified when Merle later laughed off her suggestion to duet on a song about addiction and faith, calling it church lady stuff. Loretta's band overheard her vow: if he wanted pain, let him sing his own. From that point on, any suggestion they join voices was dead on arrival. But perhaps no rivalry burned darker than the one with Tammy Wynette, whose soothing voice and White House invitations symbolized everything Loretta railed against. Tammy's Stand By Your Man became a cultural anthem for loyalty, played at tea dances, White House barbecues, and even on Reagan's lap in 1982 as photos of her goosebump moment with the president lit front-page headlines. To Aunt Loretta, that image was political theater, a betrayal of country's down-home roots and a message to women that submission was strength. Loretta, who had songs banned for speaking of birth control and betrayal, seethed in smoky green rooms. When producers tried to pair them for a duet album in the early 70s, Loretta insisted it would be like mixing oil and water, she simply couldn't stand in the same room. They finally recorded Honky Tonk Angels together in 1993, but only by laying down vocals on different days, in separate booths, merged later by engineers. Their glued-on smiles and photo shoots hid two legends refusing to share a genuine moment. Through each feud, against a pop invader, a headline-grabbing partner, a revered outlaw, a prison-honed peer, and a fellow queen of country, Loretta Lynn remained unbowed. She built her legacy on blunt truth, demanding respect, equality, and the space to sing about real women's lives. Nashville might have tried to tell her to soften her songs, mind her manners, or defer to men and polished ladies, but Loretta knew that country music was more than harmony and heartache. It was the authentic voice of the underdog. And anyone daring to silence that voice invited her fiercest wrath. In her world, claiming a stage wasn't enough. You had to stand your ground, call out betrayal, and defend the music soul with every strum of a guitar and every unapologetic lyric.